side, on the practical side, on learning sort of to use. But what I do is understand the algorithms and methodologies in a little bit more detail. And there's a resource which is basically the PDF of probably what I would argue is the most useful book, and it's referred to in the references, The Elements of Statistical Learning by Friedman, Tibshirani, and Trevor Plasty. That's a book that we will keep referring to through pretty much the whole semester.
Okay. But how the sound better now, or the same?
Sound is good. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
I don't think the sound is good.
You don't think the sound is good? Okay. I really don't know what. The only option that for the next set of video session is maybe we can use another program. Like I've never had GoToMeeting for work environment, and WebEx, I know it is. I don't know. Every time we try WebEx, there's some issue. But maybe the way we're configuring it, there's always background noise. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do.
Purdue, we can hear you. We can hear you pretty well, but we couldn't hear Professor Harantz. His connection was echoing, but your connection's better now.
Okay. All right. So yeah, maybe if needed, we'll do this again. But bear with me for now. So this is a competency based. So basically, this is explaining how when some of the expectation, grading assignments on what you do, not what you necessarily know. What that means is, so this is a modeling exercise. You will on the in the second module, you will see it. It's not just sufficient to run the code. You get familiar with the coding from the exercise. It's not just sufficient to just copy and paste, run the other algorithm. You should be able to explain your assumption. You write why you made the assumption. Does it make sense? You have to make assumptions. That's granted. But you have to explain those assumptions. You validate the model, test it, and those things you might know them, but unless you write, capture that information in your report, kind of hard for me to know because it's not simple yes or no type of questions. You have to explain everything. So that's what it means. It's not necessarily by what you know, but what you can show that you can do. Assignments fewer in number, I don't know. You can argue that with that because yes, the assignments are number of 5 assignments in total, but we do also have exercises that an average, I would say, an hour or 2. But given that this is a graduate course and that you're required to take only one course a semester, so I think it's a fair game. And also, you will, earlier I said the data preparation part, pretty much you will consistently do that through subsequent lectures, subsequent modules, because what you learn in the previous session or module will carry to the next one. So some people get challenged on the R part, and that was the reason that we're providing the exercises. Start early. R is a very powerful platform, but it can be tricky sometimes. Some people who especially have some background in another programming paradigms get challenged. But we have a TA, a dedicated TA session where you would ask questions if you run into, I'm sure you will run into some R programming problems. But R is really the de facto standard for statistical learning. So, and we're having discussion, interaction that is graded as well. And the reason is, it's a motivation for people. Sometimes you learn from other people, and by having graded discussions, people participate as a motivation for people to participate. But I myself learn a lot from student interaction sometimes. So these are this is how some of the recognition from the school. The programs the university is in always refines the course material based on discussion and consultation with industry and people such as government, folks from MITRE and I guess research companies. And also, as you can see from the slide, last year there was some awards for the university, so it's a good thing. It's a validation that you made the right choice. Okay, so this semester we have 2 sessions. This being a summer session, so it's not surprising. I don't know its class how many students we have, but I think we are up to the max. And typically, I think last semester we had 4 sessions, if I'm not mistaken. But we do have 2 sessions here, and the good thing about when you have multiple sessions is our team actually they work together and they design session from. So each module we will have TA session that explain that familiarize the students with the syntax and how you can use R. And by actually working on examples, and you get to ask questions, and so that is a benefit of having multiple sessions. So Nivedita is, I think, she's located in London, so John is here. I'm sure they will make arrangements. They already have, I think, arranged all the sessions, and probably we will have. I haven't seen an announcement in the class. Maybe they have already done so, but there is a introduction session on data processing and visualization either this week or next week. Again, I want to emphasize that you have to leverage the TA forum for programming questions. I'm sure you're going to run into it. This is you can't avoid it. Sometimes there is compatibility issue with a version and things like that. But anyway, post. You can email it, but it's much better if you post it there. The likelihood of you getting response is better if you post it in the class forum. Okay. I think I said this already. So basically, there will be a session by TAs. Either you have received emails or something has been posted already by the TAs for the first WebEx session. And I have to say that their web section usually runs smoother than ours because they use it regularly. They don't. I think. Well, there was one session last year they had to cancel because of WebEx problem, but usually okay. So don't be discouraged by technical errors today. Here is the most important for some students, the grading and how each assignments are weighted. We have 5 assignments. This is the distribution of each assignment. And discussions, 10 points. So each discussion, we have 5 discussions, and each was 2 points. The exercises, I think we have 7 exercises, each was 2 points, and so most of the grading goes to the assignment section. That means, there is a minimum page required, but beyond the minimum page, the content in how you explain things is more important. Assignment 1 would be on association mining. So they obviously, what is covered for that module will have a corresponding assignment on the same topic. And regression in assignment 2, we will have decision supervised learning and decision trees in assignment 3. And neural networks 4, 5 would be unsupervised learning, which is clustering. We use k-means, but we will discuss the other type of clustering as well. And like I said earlier, throughout the project, throughout the session, you will be working on a group project. Again, it is 20%. I don't know if it was covered in here. Yep, group project is 20%. And another thing that I did not discuss, it's not particularly captured in here, is the model, the validation phase. So we don't have a module that explains model validation, but it's very important, particularly for production environment. You don't deploy model just by fitting any algorithm, the output of any algorithm. You have to do validation. There are different kind of metrics how you can validate models. But validation, so you will be graded against the kind of validation you're doing in the assignments. So this speaks to the discussions and the expectation about the discussion are available for each module. There is one module that we don't have discussion that will be in the module that has only 1 week, which is the association module. But the rest, we do have discussion, graded discussion. One important thing about discussions is the initial post is during the first week. The reason being, if you don't post anything, if you don't make that requirement, if people wait up until the second week for the initial post, then you don't get a chance to respond to, right? You won't have anything to respond to. That means the interaction. That's why the requirements of the initial post is do the first week, and then you can interact and respond, make a response comment throughout the module. And obviously it has to be interesting, substantive, and I think there's a guideline in the website, in the discussion forum session, what is the minimum requirement, length, and content. So I know this is important for students, and so don't expect that by doing what is expected, you earn A's, right? On time, on task, well-written, complete, properly documented, that is B, right? You have to perform, you have to be above average to earn A. Okay, this is a policy, and we will provide feedback. So let's say if you don't perform well in the first assignment, maybe you can improve that for the second or the third one by looking at your feedback. We'll provide feedback on the grading. Okay, this is cross-industry. This is another standard. It's not really accepted or required standard. This is kind of de facto standard where you have to have a business understanding. You have to have a goal. You can't just do data science or a machine learning type of problem for the sake of it, right? You would have to have the well-defined, well-stated problem, and then that means usually it's not done in a vacuum. There has to be some context. There has to be a domain where you are trying to solve a problem in. So that means business understanding, then you collect your data, you go to the data understanding phase, and data preparation, you have once you understand it. I mean, there's overlap, obviously, between these phases, but it captures what are the main requirements of pretty much any data mining project. You have to do preparation, then you exercise the modeling, then you have to iterate. Sometimes you go back while you're modeling. The model might not be performing well. Maybe there is an additional transformation you have to do, so you have to go back to the data preparation and do that. Sometimes you have to bring additional columns, or you derive another field. So this iterative, and then you do the modeling. Evaluation is another important piece. Sometimes you do evaluation, and the performance not well. In some cases, if the evaluation suggests that the model accuracy is not acceptable, you might want to start from all over. Maybe that the problem was not well formulated. So in deployment, basically our deployment here, we cover all this. in our so in every assignment, you have to do these things. Whether you formally capture in this format in your report or in the format that we are providing, there's a guideline, the deliverable section in the assignment. Regardless, you'll do it except deployment. Deployment basically is you submit the assignment and the report to your professor, and we don't actually deploy in a production environment. But you will have to do all of these. These are important. So these are, general guidelines or recommendation how you can be successful in the course. Start early. You can read this for yourself. Ask questions. Start early. I think sometimes you underestimate some of the tasks that you think it's easier because every exercise and assignment involves some kind of programming, and it's normal to get stuck or to run into issues with any programming project. So start early, and that gives you a chance, if you have a problem, to ask questions, because if you ask questions at the last minute, kind of hard, right? So the timing is important. In question, you would expect the answer from the professor or the teaching assistant within 24 hours. So I think I said this earlier, a better channel is the discussion forum for questions regarding, some of the problem there, because it's likely somebody will also is having that issue. But if you have personal issues that for whatever reason you can't make it, the deadline, that it has to be communicated through emails. So send us email for anything of a private nature. Okay, this is not unique to Data 630. But in some of the introduction, I try to kind of allude to this, is data science is kind of a unique field that you have to have knowledge across multiple domains. Although we don't, as said earlier, we don't cover the low level underlying mathematics for any of the algorithms we will learn in this course, but at some point, you will have to do that because sometimes you need to diagnose a model. Sometimes you just can't figure it out. And then maybe some of the parameters that you are using or you're passing to the function isn't an appropriate one. So, but this is particular to when you advance, in your career and you get some point where you have to have some understanding about the underlying mathematics. The computer aspect, the computer science aspect is primarily programming, and if you happen to work with a large team, the computer science problem like providing high computing environment, running in parallel environment, those things will be handled by dedicated software engineers and programmers. The main one that directly applicable for data science is the coding piece. To be able to debug your code, prototype quickly using R or whatever, Python. We happen to use R. I use R for even work because if there is an algorithm out there, you will get some implementation of it in R. And another thing is domain experience or domain expertise. That is also important, very important, because data science usually is, or data mining tasks, you are trying to solve a problem, and that problem has to be well defined. To define the problem, I work in, a good example that I can give you, I work in aviation, and I have been in the domain for a long time, so it's easier for me to communicate with people that I am solving the problem for. So I can communicate. They want something. Sometimes the model that you are developing, you would think is providing answer from just when you look at it from the mathematical aspect, but it could be well explained by a domain expert. So you have to have at least a working knowledge to understand the problem, communicate the result to decision makers. So that is also important. So in that sense, data science is unique, that you have to have understanding from multiple domains. And I would say these are the critical. I have seen a different version of this diagram. Some people expand it to like 10, 15 things. But this is what it is. I mean, when you say machine learning is a subset of computer science, and there is some part of mathematics. So data processing is also part of computer science as well as mathematics. So, but those are the three areas that you have to have some familiarity with. And I think that is the last slide. And I will open, Ed, if you have some final comments, please do that. And I will unmute, and hopefully we will be able to answer some of the questions you might have. And again, sorry for the voice quality. Ed, do you have anything?
Sure. I'll add a couple things. So one thing is, we cannot emphasize enough the start early. Sometimes, we all are working, at the same time. So I understand, sometimes there's, you may not be able to make a deadline. So if you need to ask for an extension for personal reasons, please ask for that, in advance. So don't wait till the last minute to ask for an extension. If you know that you're having an issue, please let us know early. I'd like to, refer again to that reference, this book, Elements of Statistical Learning. This is a very helpful book that we will use throughout the whole semester, just about in every single module, and it's a very helpful resource. And just to add to what I was saying before, even though we don't really have an emphasis on the mathematics, the algorithms, the statistics, I think you will find it helpful if you read through resources like that to better understand the algorithms, even for this semester. So you will find it helpful. Does anybody have any questions in particular?
Yes, I do. You mentioned that the initial post has to be done during the first week. Is it the first week or first few days of the week?
It is due by the Sunday of the first week. So the week starts on Monday morning, and ends Sunday. So for the purpose of meeting the deadline, the due date is on Sunday before midnight of the first week.
So that sounds like the one discussion goes for more than 1 week. Is that what it means?
That is true. The discussion is for the entire module for the 2 weeks. So the second week you get a chance to reflect on some of the response you got for your post, or for you to try to respond to other posts.
Okay, got it.
Fred, I'm not sure if you said much about there'll be a group project, and that's also something that it will be helpful to start working on that early. Different professors have different ways of assigning the group. Sometimes you ask for people to volunteer to other times we'll just come up with a group of people to work on divide them up into groups. But that's something that will be very important for you to get together, with your group and start working early on that.
Yeah, that's important. I'm glad you emphasized that point, Ed. Because again, based on my experience, every semester I end up randomly selecting some people that they did not have enough time to discuss what they're interested in, and they end up, randomly assigned to a group. It doesn't usually work nicely. So if you can start early having discussion, we, at least in my session, I'll create an area in class for you to form a group to discuss what is your interest area, what is your background, what do you want to pursue in data science, things like that. And at least you know a common interest, and then you go from there. That doesn't always work, then I would have to randomly assign it to a group. Any other question?
So I'm Udita, and I'm in Ed's class. So Ed, are you going to be randomly assigning the group, or is it how are you going to do it?
I think I'll start by letting people, decide, by themselves if they want to, join groups. So I'll also have an area where you can discuss your interests.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't have any other question, maybe let me check the chat room. Sometimes people ask in the chat. Yeah, I don't see any other question. And I know we started late, and we did have some issues. Maybe still we have some issues. But I hope you got, some of the introduction about the course, some of the expectation. And welcome once again to class, and then I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the ride.
Thank you. Good night.
Ed, I am done. I believe you're done as well, right?
Yes.
You don't have anything.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys. And to whatever extent that I was able to record, we will post it in the class. And for those of you who were not able to attend, and good night, everybody. See you in class.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.